Good morning. Good morning. Java Delight will uplift you. Stay tuned. The show is about to begin. Grab your coffee. Stay tuned. This show is about to begin.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Thank you for joining us today. We are here for another episode of Java Delight, the only morning show that focuses on bringing you a shot of Java with positivity while bringing you delight to your life. I don't count. Why don't I count? Oh, I see why I don't count. I'm second, but I don't count because I was technically here. Now I get it. Hi, Mandy Atterbury. I'm so glad to see you this morning. Jessica Dugas is here. She says, Brian, you're a show-off. Brian Tracy is there saying, hey, I'm first. If you're not first, you're the worst. Brian Tracy here giving us a big smile and telling us how much he loves us. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us. My name is Brandon Croucher, and this is the one, the only, you've heard of GQ magazine, meet GK, Gavin Kerr.
What's GQ magazine?
Jessica Dugas got it. Jessica Dugas is in the back cheering. That's how good that joke landed. It really is a good joke. I complimented you so high there, Gavin, and you don't even know it.
I don't read magazines. Yeah.
It's a magazine that you should know. You don't know what GQ is? Gentleman's Quarterly?
I have no idea what GQ is.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, please hold on 1 second. I need to take care of something. Miss Jessica Dugas, please join us.
Hello.
Hi, Jessica, I need your help already. We're only 3 minutes into the show. That joke landed perfectly, and Mr. GK over here doesn't get it. What is GQ, and why should Gavin know it?
Well, it's a GQ to even the magazine you're referring to, Gentleman's Quarterly. Okay, people used to hear GQ and go like, that's the man's man, the almost just high collar, like, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it, but it's like, it would be like the man at the top of the totem pole, the CEO, always wearing the super nice clothes and having their hair perfect. And they're like, trust me, it was a compliment. It was a compliment. The Vogue for men.
Cheers.
I love that.
Go. Cheers, mate.
He's like, and his response was, I don't read magazines. I
don't. I think the only magazines I've ever had in my life, I think I have like 2 Playboy magazines that I skimmed through when I was like 15, and that's about it. Like I've never owned a magazine.
We showed our age, Brandon, is what happened. Because I don't hear that phrase like GQ. I don't hear that anymore, like we used to kind of in the 90s. So
yeah,
here we are.
I still see it now and then because they're honestly an online platform still.
Yeah.
But like, it's really interesting to me because of the fact that it is still popular with men in certain areas. And that's why when Gavin said he didn't know it, I'm like, don't make me feel that old. Like GQ is where, like, all right, so I got my first magazine of GQ, and it has articles from athletes to bodybuilders. It's your men's quarterly to figure out how to dress, how to look good, and blah blah blah. I literally took the first one I ever got, and I loved one of the outfits in there. So I went to Goodwill and I found how to match that outfit the best I could without spending the like $500 that GQ put it out there as.
Yeah.
And I did amazing. I think I even still have that shirt somewhere. Don't know where, but somewhere. How are you, Mr. Gavin Kerr, Mr. GK?
I'm doing pretty well. Yesterday was a very busy, intense day for me. After the gym early in the morning, then I came and I did this, and then we had the meeting afterward. Well, we had a meeting directly after this that we usually do, where we just talk about the show and everything. Then we had a team meeting, and then I went to Lakewood and worked in an abandoned building for 6 hours. And then I came home and I went to bed because I was exhausted from ripping apart walls and spraying stuff down with a power washer and everything. So this morning I woke up in time to go to the gym, and I thought, nope, I'm going to go later because I'm still tired. So I went back to bed for about another hour or so, and I'm very glad that I did that. You gotta sleep as hard as you work. And so I made sure that I got some good sleep, and I'm going to go to the gym later. How are you?
Who?
Whoever wants to answer. Brandon.
I'm fabulous today. I'm fabulous today. I went to so I have a bike that I use, a recumbent bike for part of my exercise routine and all of that. I shouldn't say routine. It's more of just, intuitively moving my body. I'll say it that way, because I have a lot of physical challenges that I'm having to overcome. And my trainer, Lisa, has been so incredible. If you guys look her up, her name's Lisa Peranzo. She's fantastic. She's hilarious, and she's so good at what she does. And really working with me to listen to my body more and say, what is it that I need right now? But also meeting my goals at the same time of losing weight and feeling better and all of that. And so I had my bike. We have two garages. We have an attached garage, a garage that's attached to the house, and one that's detached, which I guess the previous owners kind of had like a shop thing going on in there. And so I had the bike in the attached garage, but for some reason it gets more hot in there than it does in the detached garage. And the detached garage also has an air conditioner that you can turn on in there. So this last weekend, I made the decision to not die on my bike in the attached garage. And my husband and my son brought my nice little rug that I have the bike on and the bike, and brought it over there. And the kids and I moved some things around, and we made a spot in there right in front of that AC. So it was nice to do that and take that excuse off the table, because for me, like, I have a lot of traumatic things around exercise because of injuries that I've had and things like that. So when I go to exercise, I immediately go to this space of what can I think of to not do this today? Yeah. And so moving it over there takes one of those off the table, and it brings me into the element of control over the movement, the exercise, my body, and all of that. So it moved it over there. And yesterday I went out there. My daughter and I are doing it together. So we each do a half an hour, and we watch a show, or, so the time passes quicker.
Yeah.
So that was.
That sounds awesome. I like that. I've been lately using the bike rather than the treadmill, because I've noticed I've had like some trouble with my knees. I did a lot of sports when I was like little, a lot of running and stuff like that. And by sports and running, I mean actual, but then I also mean I like to climb and jump off of stuff at tall heights. So I've kind of messed my knees up a little bit. So I do the bikes. I find it's a lot nicer on my knees.
Yeah.
Have you ever dunked?
Have you ever what?
Dunked.
Like in basketball?
Yeah.
No.
Just
I'm not that tall, and I can't jump that high.
First off, the smallest guy ever to jump was barely 5'1". To dunk was barely 5'1".
Well, that's
Second
how tall I am.
Yeah.
I want to see Jessica Dugas throwing down a dunk. She's like, feed me the rock, guys. Feed me the rock.
The truth
I was never good at basketball.
The truth is, though, that that's actually in my blood. My grandfather was super short. He was the star basketball player in high school, like in the newspaper every week. His last name was Spinato. They used to call him Spin. And, there's all these articles and stuff that I've got somewhere in a box of him that's saying like Spin won the game again and he was this little guy and was the star basketball player and was amazing at it. So it's in there somewhere. It's gotta be right in the genes, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Like my thing would be is I have always wanted to dunk. And the best I ever had, and you were talking about jumping from high places, and that's why I was wondering, because I've climbed ladders and dunked, but I've never been able to do the jump. The best I ever did was I touched the bottom of the rim, and it showed my white boy skills. But the thing is, Jessica's face changed like 3 colors there.
Because I had coffee in my mouth, Brandon, and I wanted to laugh, and it wouldn't have turned out well.
My thing is, I try to get you to laugh because I want you to laugh I want to get you to laugh. I'm trying to get the show to like open up on my second screen. I want to get you to laugh because if I can get coffee to come out your nose, we have a promo video. Okay. Like that's how we promote Friday. Like guys, we're going to have a great show this Friday. We're going to be on the Breakthrough Project Live, E360, E360 TV, Apple TV, Roku TV. If you don't know these things, click on them because Jessica Dugas and the Breakthrough Show are going live. See, that was the commercial where you came out your nuts.
No.
I feel like that would just burn.
It would. I've done that. No.
Burn and your mascara would run. That just sounds like a horrible time.
An eyelash would literally come off. No.
Yeah.
So, Jessica, I have to compliment those eyelashes again. Like, girl, you are bringing it. Like, I don't have eyelash things. Like, I don't go like flutter. And
thank God.
I look good in eyelashes. You should see when I do my makeup. Like, but no, you look great. Name that company again so everybody knows who your girl is that's been hooking you up with these amazing lashes, making Jessica Dugas go from a 10 to 11.
Brains Beauty and More LLC. Brains Beauty and More LLC. You can find them on Instagram, on TikTok. I'm sure every other platform. I met her. I happened to see her live one day on TikTok, and she was doing her makeup, and then she got to her eyes, and I was like, "Girl, where do I get those?" And she's like, "They're actually mine." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Yes, you can go to my." But see, this proves, we had been friends on TikTok for a long time, but I don't go and look at everybody's bio and their links and all of that. So it proves why those personal relationships are important, the conversations that we have, because I would have never known if she didn't say, "This is my company." And so immediately I was like, well, I'm all about lashes and I love to support small business. So I did that. And in addition, where is it? I have some, you can't, so you see the pink on my eyelids there? There is
a little bit, yeah.
Another company, Sparky Cat Cosmetics. Y'all, they're vegan. They are cruelty free. They and have so many good colors. And I was like, I need some of that too. So Sparky Cat Cosmetics is fantastic as well. But I really had a good time supporting other small businesses on TikTok and Instagram and things like that. And not to do it because you so many people have a business now. I'm not going to go buy something from someone just because I meet them and they have a small business. I'm going to buy things that I would have bought anyway, but I'm going to go ahead and support their business. And if they're really good, I will keep, I told her, I'm like, I have boxes of, how many pairs of lashes does Jessica have? That's not what this show is about.
Do you do lashes? Do you do them every day? Do you do your lashes? Do you put them on?
Not every day, but I have been, if I'm recording, if I'm on a show, I like them because I like how they look on camera. And so if I'm recording, yes, but then there's some days, and I did a TikTok about this recently, where I just want to feel really good. I like how I look in them. And so I'll put them on just for me. If I'm having a day where I need to build myself up, I'll do it myself.
Okay. And then after Brandon, I got another question to follow up on that.
Go ahead. Mine's going to be for all three of us. Go ahead.
Okay, gotcha. Well, then my question is, do you find that wearing makeup or a specific makeup every day over time sort of depletes the natural beauty? Like, I know some women who wear a lot of makeup every single day, and then when they take their face off, they do just that. Like, their eyebrows are gone, their eyelashes are very thin, their face is extremely like bare and pale. But then I also know women who hardly wear any makeup or don't wear any at all, and they seem, or like men, for instance, like we for the most part don't wear any makeup, but we have like color in our face, and you can see that. Do you think it's like a weird like sun screen kind of effect, where like it's blocking out the natural vitamins you get from the sun, or do you think there's something in makeup that's sort of like does that discoloration when you wear it a lot?
Well, I mean, I think over time, if you're not taking care of your skin underneath, you're going to have a problem. I've always had very fortunate to have had amazing skin, even through my teenage years when the hormones are going crazy and all of that. I never had a lot of breakouts or anything. And in fact, one of my daughters has really bad acne, and I never had to deal with that. So I had to consult with someone to go, how do I deal with this? Because I never had to, I had my own struggles, and acne was not one of them. But I know, but it was always, so you guys may not know this, but my grandmother owned a beauty salon. She was a high school dropout. My grandmother was, and then went and got her own business, owned the bought the beauty salon and all of that. My grandmother has a really incredible story. And my mother, following in her steps, went to go get her cosmetology license. She didn't stick with it. It was not for her. But so them both being in that industry, it was always adamant, like, you take care of your hair, you take care of your skin, you take care of yourself on the outside, because you know, when you do makeup, which is fun, and most women I know enjoy that, you're caking stuff on, and it's going in your pores. And the other side of that, we talked about this when we were talking about my brother, your skin is your biggest organ. So if you're leaving stuff on from the time you wake up in the morning till the time you go to bed 7 days a week, you've got to give your skin a break in there. And do that. But I tend to be more natural with the things that, I mean, obviously my lashes are pretty extra, but for the most part, I tend to be pretty light, and I don't think I look that much different with makeup than without. There's things that you can accentuate with it, but I try not to, like, I'm not here for like the drag makeup, you know what I mean?
That's its own kind of makeup. Like there's like day makeup, and then a lot more than that would be like crazy night out makeup, like the club, and then after that you have like stage makeup, and then after stage makeup you have drag makeup, which is like just like one level before doing like cosplay makeup. Like it's a lot.
Yeah. There's definitely you can I mean, there's nothing on this packaging that says it's just for women.
Yeah, they're for eyes.
Brandon has brains, beauty, and more too. Yes, I will.
Favor, or like just say it again so that we can have it typed in there. Eyelashes dark enough. So my question to you guys, since we usually do what we're grateful for at the beginning of the show, and we talk about gratefulness and why it's important, is how do you? Jessica said she does it for herself. It makes her feel good. She likes how it looks on air. Gavin, we already know Jessica, and everybody watching, what do you do to make sure you make yourself feel good? For me, I'll be 100,000,000% honest, and mine is a very easy answer today. I looked at the camera. I did not like how I looked bald, and I turned around and put a hat on. dead serious. I thought I looked really bad bald today, and I just, in my own head, was like, ew, and needed to put something else on. So I picked a hat, put it on, matched my outfit. So I felt good. It's just like Jessica doing her eyelashes. What do you guys do to self-love so you feel good about yourself? Like Gavin this morning?
Let me just say,
I already gave you a chance to talk.
This is good. You're going to like this. You're going to like this, Brandon, because there's nothing wrong with that. There's so many people that will jump in and they think they're doing a good thing and they say, no, you look good no matter what. There is something magical that happens when you come on screen and you feel good about yourself. And it doesn't matter what it takes for you to get there, whatever. And it doesn't, just because you put on false lashes, just because you put on that hat, just because you put on a different outfit, that doesn't mean that you don't like what's underneath. That does not mean that. So correct. I just put it
I think that's a great point, because that is a good point, because the truth is we do things sometimes just for ourselves to make sure we feel good. It's when you start letting those voices in your head tell you, oh, Brandon, that bald stands out, and you see the dimples in your head and like blah, 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 and you negative self-talk. That's where it's separating that stuff. And that's where, for me, I know I shave my head, feel so, oh my God, Tokyo Bento, you are 100% correct. Like, guys, if you ever wonder how much my hair is growing, just look at the growth, okay? This was shaved last night, and the truth is, I literally could put this hat on, and within minutes, I feel like my hair has grown, and I need to go shave it again.
You're
and
like a chia pet.
I am. Cha-cha-cha, Brandon.
I got some seeds in the cabinet if you want to get the rest of it.
I'm okay. But no, I shaving my head feels so good.
Oh my God, wait. Can we do that? Can we, you know how they have like the face mask mud? Can we put mud on the top of your head and grow chia seeds?
I don't think they grow that fast, do they?
They grow pretty fast. Like it would, like, you would have to be careful with sleeping, but it should only take like a day or two.
Oh my God. You know what? I'll make you a deal. Do you have a chia pet thing?
I do.
I don't know how we're going to get it to sit here, but we can make me a toupee of a chia pet. I would try to do that with you.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds like a blast. Let's do it.
Jacob, it's good to see you, my friend, this morning. We are so glad you're here. Yes, I think this is what I'm going to do. Brett says he plucks wild hairs from his eyebrow area. Usually can't even see my eyebrows. That's an interesting way to self-love, but I love it. What do you do, Gavin? How do you make yourself feel sexy in the morning? I already know this answer. He wakes up.
No, I live a lot of routines. Like, so my schedule is always full and very hectic. So I kind of have like specific routines that I have to do in order to keep myself organized. And in the morning, I have like a morning shower routine where I take my shower. Sometimes I wash my hair, sometimes I don't, because I have curly hair, so I don't want to mess up the oils and everything that's in it. But I use all natural soap, Dr. Squatch. Shout out to them. Their products are amazing, so I do that. When I shave, I have like a routine for it. That's basically what it is. I have a lot of like little routines. Like, I shave with a straight razor, and I listen to Sweeney Todd while I shave. It amuses me. Yeah. Like, because I'm like right here, I'm like, I could do it. I could do it. Pretty women. Fascinating.
That's
seriously
fantastic.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, like there's nothing more exhilarating.
You shaving. We're gonna video you shaving and me growing a chia pet toupee. This is gonna be an amazing episode next week.
I'm probably gonna shave today, actually.
Everyone have a great bye. So I hope you all have a great bye. I wish you all the best. Bye.
Goodbye. A great bye.
Goodbye. She's
watermelon sugar. Bye. Watermelon sugar. Bye.
Is that song about sex? Every time I hear it, I'm pretty sure that's what it's about.
On a summer evening. I don't
know.
Pretty sure what it's about.
If it is, that's fantastic. My kids love that song, so that's That's
what I liked about. That's what I liked about the song Whistle. Remember that song? Whistle, baby. Here we go.
My husband knows. My husband knows more than I do.
I want to know what Phil does to self-love himself. Like, does he
I
like
can tell you what he does.
Would Phil and I get along really well?
So I cut Phil's hair at least every 2 weeks. He makes me get, so I hung on to something from my mom and my grandma with the hairstyling. But I buzz him every 2 weeks. And then, in the morning though, he has his whole, it takes him literally an hour and a half to get out the door. But he has the surround sound in the bathroom. So he chooses whatever his song is of the day and he puts it on, and he has a whole Philip Dugas on the main stage concert in the morning. And he looks amazing in a tie, ladies and gentlemen. So
just a tie?
No, he has a whole.
That's how I took it.
Oh, okay. Well, you were talking about how he's in the bathroom doing his concert with a surround sound, and all I imagine is him in a tie holding a hairbrush as a microphone, just out and about, just rocking out.
I can't talk about that.
He comes out singing like John Legend in a tie and all this, and he's like,
"Oh no, he does like he likes Foo Fighters or now it depends on his mood. I know what's going on with him in his mind. Everybody has a crush on my husband, Jacob. Let me just tell you.
I do. I don't have many man crushes, but Philip is my man crush. Philip the Big D Dugas, thank you.
But I know what his mood is based on the music that he's playing in the morning. So it depends on what's going on. But that's he does his shower and it's his shaving and all of that, and I have to cut his hair. Those are his biggest things.
Nice.
So what is his music? Like, I'm picturing a very good morning, CK. I'm picturing a very different like thing. Like I one day start with like this uplifting positive stuff. It's a good one. One day starts with like this positive, like, oh, it's gonna be a good day type of thing, and then all of a sudden they're like, no. So it's like, in the end.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. When he's feeling nostalgic, he listens to a lot of Tragically Hip because he's Canadian and they're Canadian, and the whole deal. He loves Tragically Hip. That's usually when he's pretty mellow. He listens to that. He will listen to like complete gangster rap, like he's into that too. Yeah, like
does he work in like an office space? What does he do really quick for a living?
Yeah, he's a finance manager, so he's in a little that's only after he comes home.
Awesome. Well, I just love the idea of him like getting ready to go to the office and he's just not having it. And he just swings open the bathroom door to Limp Bizkit break stuff. He's all like, the goddamn fax machine better be working today.
I mean, like, that's how I know that work is not thrilling him in the moment, is certain things that he listens to. So, yeah.
Well, all right. So what is Philip Dugas's get up and go song? Like, it's a good day. And what song is his bad day song? Philip, you write them in here too. This is like the marriage game.
Yeah,
like
you need
dating
to.
game.
Yeah, it just really depends. He likes so many different things. It would be hard for me to say, honestly, what his number one, because he listens to something different every day. Office.
Sorry, the comments coming in are great today. I'm loving this. This is hysterical.
See, he can't even say what his favorite would be. I don't think.
Well, like, that's a thing. Like, you gotta have like. I have songs that like are in my playlist. Can you please play the song I posted in the chat? I didn't see a song posted in the chat.
I didn't either.
I'm looking at both screens. I'm sorry, Mandy.
Yeah. Plus, if it's copyrighted, we won't be able to play it.
Yeah, it'll pull it off.
Yeah.
30 Seconds from Mars.
Yeah, 30 Seconds to Mars is a big one for him. I got him the signed record from Jared Leto for last year.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Right,
I was in love with Jared Leto back when he was doing My So-Called Life a long time ago.
Well, all right, so really quick, because we're going to be getting into your segment now that we've laughed and all that. But we actually have Tyler Foley on today. Tyler is an actor and performer for 35 years. He's got an IMDb, IMDB. Yeah, I said it right. He's been in a lot of shows, from Sex, Lies, and Murder to True Calling to Valentine, Freddy vs. Jason, and Carrie. Just Deal, which was a TV series, Door to Door. I have no idea what that is. See Jane Run, The Sausage Factory. I have so many questions about that. You, Me, and the Kids, and Cold Squad. All different TV series. He's been a presenter for 10 years, and he just released a new book, The Power to Speak Naked. Am I allowed to be naked on this episode because of this?
No.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Jess. I'm glad you're
welcome.
here. I'm glad you answered, because Gavin's sitting there going, "Oh, can I get naked too?"
I hate clothes.
No, I hate clothes. I hate clothes. Like, I literally, like, it's not a weird thing to hate clothes, but it's like I wear them to make other people know that I have to.
I knew this one, actually. I knew this one guy in high school. His nickname was Husky. And if you just saw him in the hallways and you yelled, "Pants are a sign of oppression," he would just pull his pants down right then and there and just take them off. He had underwear on, but he just starts stripping down. And I remember he went to college, and he came back to visit the high school to, like, talk to us after 1 year of college. And I saw him. I go, "Oh, my God, Husky, pants are a sign of oppression." And he just goes, "Oh, no, I don't do that anymore."
Jessica, I need a favor.
Yeah.
Once he gets in the shower. She's already like, shit. Kilts are. You know, you are 100% right. I need a kilt.
Yeah.
Gavin has a kilt. I don't. Don't you?
I don't have a kilt. No, I would like one, but I don't have one.
We need to go kilt shopping together. Is that something guys do?
Is there a kilt store nearby?
I don't know.
I figure we just get it offline or something. I don't know. How does one go about getting a kilt? This seems like a very specific piece of clothing.
I don't know. I think we need to ask. Uni kilts are nice, based out of Seattle for the everyday man. Guess what? We have our answer. Uni kilts. I'm gonna think that is
Utilakilts. Utilakilts.
Yeah, you get to keep your tools in there. Get it? Thank you, Gavin. All right, so Jessica. Oh, is that my big Phil? Is that the big D?
No.
I saw you move to the side.
I was trying to float away.
Here's what we need, all right? The minute he gets in the shower, I need you to, like, give us a warning. And then you can step away and dump water on him in the shower and just video the reaction, okay? And then when he's like, see if the music changes. I just want to see if that changes the music at all.
It won't. It won't do that.
And you know what, Christina? Yes, dresses are extremely comfortable, and women do have that. But you know what men have? You know what men have? Pockets. So.
Oh, no. My wedding dress had pockets. I seek out the pockets.
Yeah.
Really?
All right, but like that's a very unique piece of clothing. That's crazy that a wedding dress had pockets. I've never heard of that.
So many of them have them now because, listen, women have bitched and moaned about it for so long that people would be stupid to not have. The only thing that doesn't have pockets that makes me sad is leggings, and I'm sure that they do have some.
Yeah, no, I've seen those. They have them. They're like these very thin pockets you can slide your phone and stuff into when you work out. They have those.
Yeah.
Brett, now we know why you don't wear kilt. So before you go dump water on your husband, the stories of ourselves, like how to get your story out there, is a topic we're going to talk about today with Miss Jessica Dugas. By the way, Lululemon has amazing men's shorts that are very expensive, but so comfy. They keep everything where they're supposed to be without making you chafe. And they have pockets for men.
I like cheap stuff.
I do too. Lululemon is very expensive, but I need to live in a realm that I would like to live in, and having Lululemon shorts, whew, let me tell you, that
I went
is
to
wonderful.
Express for a couple clothes. I got 2 shirts that cost me like $70, and so I got the credit card there, so I get $20 off. And I used it that one time, and now it is in a safe in the basement. So I'm going to use it next year one more time on like the cheapest item they have, just to build my credit score. That's all I'm going to do with it, and it will just remain in that safe.
I love this question. Is this sponsored, Brandon Croucher? No, but now we have a goal.
There's been a lot of product placement in this one.
We have, like, for real.
Yeah.
We have Lululemon, and then you did one too, because you
Dr.
did a
Squatch.
great product. Dr. Squatch, and Dr. Squatch is good. I bought them.
It's so good.
Oh, I love it. For any man out there, we're giving them a pitch. What's the men's club? The Manscaped. Manscaped is good.
I thought you meant Dollar Shave Club.
Oh, we use
like
Dollar Shave Club. Mm-hmm.
I use their I'm not subscribed to them, but at the store they have their shave butter, and I use that. I like that a lot.
Jacob.
All right, deal. We're gonna focus on the Chia Pet thing.
Yeah.
Chia, Brandon.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jessica, you and I, we planned about this conversation. Totally went a different way.
I know.
But how does it, telling your story and getting it out there, why is telling your story essential? Because it really is like getting it out there for you and others. Why is telling your story essential?
Yeah. So starting backtracking just a quick second. So when people talk about having a story, there's a lot of people over the years who have said to me, well, I don't have a story, and or I can't tell my story because my story's not finished yet. Nobody's story is finished yet. We're still here, right? We're still, learning things every single day and all of that. But the biggest thing with your story can be in anything. Your birth is a story, your school days, your friendships, life events, health, finances, grief you've experienced, family relationships. Everything is kind of like a story within your book of life. That's how I choose to look at it. And then as far as telling your story, it's really important for a few different reasons. Number one, it's about you. So when you tell your story, you are healing part of your life. You are knowing that you have a voice and it's important. That's like the number one reason to tell a story to tell a story of your life is for you, for your own personal healing, for your own journey. That's what's most important about that. The second part is that it's about other people as well. When you tell your story, it enables people to see your authenticity. It helps them combat loneliness. When they hear your story, they know they're not alone in the world. And it helps people grow. It gives people perspective. So when you tell your story, they may have gone through something similar, but they might not have had the same ideas as you. And they might say, oh, well, I didn't think about it that way. So now I can try something else to move forward in their lives. And then the next part is it being about us together. So it helps us get closer to each other, to connect further. It helps us to create and understand boundaries, and it helps us to release relationships if necessary. So sometimes when we're sharing our story, it's a very vulnerable process. And there are people that are going to look in and feel some kind of way about you sharing your story. And those are not the people that you necessarily need to have. And I don't mean to cut them out of your life completely if that's not something you want to do, but it helps you have those boundaries of going, is this someone I need to share this part of my life with? Because everybody's roles in our lives are different, and not everybody is meant for different parts of our story. Thinking about it too, from a business perspective, telling your story helps your customers to get to know you better, your audience to get to know you better. And for me, like I was talking about with the lash company and everything else, that all happened because watching her put on makeup and tell stories. And so I felt like, hey, this is someone who's genuine. I want to purchase from them. So it really helps in that perspective as well. So there's a lot of different reasons why we should tell our story. And I think, starting with number one of it being it's about us and our own healing and our own, helps us to document different parts of our lives. The book that I'm writing right now is a series of short stories about growing up with my grandparents. And it started out as being a project that I was working on because I wanted a way to pass on those stories to my kids and their kids and their kids' kids, and so that it started out with that. But then I also, throughout the last year of working on this book, have talked to other people who have said, I have amazing relationship with my grandparents too. So I love that it allows me to reconnect with the nostalgia of that. And then other people of going, I didn't have grandparents I was close to. So this helps me, bring in some of that knowledge as if I did. So see how there's all different groups of people through telling the same one story. You can reach everybody, including yourself.
So I guess... Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead. I asked the first question. I'll shut my face.
Well, and also to add on to all of that, I think one thing that people don't realize is the reason why a lot of people don't share their stories because they're ashamed about things or because they're nervous about being judged. But a lot of those things that you're nervous about sharing with people usually are some of the most crucial parts of the story and oftentimes will help other people deal with their own situations they're struggling through. So by sharing your story, you don't realize how many other people that you could actually help and benefit by showing those struggles and that vulnerability that we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks. Right.
Yeah, it's interesting because it really does help you to process different things. And as you're talking about vulnerability, that one of telling your story is literally the most vulnerable thing that you can do.
Yeah.
When I had Kawan Glover on the show on the Breakthrough show last week, and he was talking about writing his book. And when he first went through and wrote his book was about his life. And the editor looked in and was like, this is trash. Could you imagine writing down your life story and have someone look in and say it's trash? I mean, it's like someone saying, well, your life is trash.
Well, that editor probably saw through because I'm sure that he had a bunch of stuff in there that he had left out or kind of altered a bit. So there wasn't the authenticity of it. And I'm sure the editor kind of saw through that. It's like, hey, you need to say what really happened, what's really going on, because this isn't it.
Right. But it's a very vulnerable process. And when I wrote in Shine, when my brother died, that story, I was scared to put it out there because I thought there's a whole bunch of people who knew Adam. What are they going to think about my perspective of what happened? And one of the most helpful pieces of feedback I got was actually from my mother, who was most worried about her and reading the story. And she read the story and she said, thank you for doing this because it was such a blur to me what happened that now I feel like I know what happened then, because everything was just so crazy those couple of weeks that I was up there. So it was a beautiful piece of feedback from my mother, because especially when we're talking about other people, like this story with my grandparents, I know that I've dragged my feet on telling that story because of how many people loved my grandparents and me going, what are they going to think about this?
Yeah, that's understandable. I actually like what Right and Wrongs podcast says here is you also have those who are better at verbal storytelling versus those who are better with a pen, paintbrush, or even the dance floor. I think that's a great thing. And yes, they got the message. But I was actually curious, so when is the importance of sharing your story? Because sometimes we don't realize, maybe, for me, I know we talked about this. There's times where I might not be in the best mindset and I have to catch myself to know that I'm oversharing or I'm sharing a story that really isn't relatable. How do you know when it is important to be sharing your story?
Since all of the experiences that I've had have sort of pushed me into this space of understanding the importance of storytelling. We're literally telling stories all the time. So whether we're talking, even if it's not the number one thing that we're going through, we're still telling stories about different things. Mandy asked a good question, kind of tying into this a little bit. What if someone doesn't want to recall something bad that happened to them? So that kind of ties in to a little bit like, are you ready to put it out there? It being a very vulnerable space to be. And I love what Rights and Wrongs podcast said too, about there being different ways to tell stories as well. Whether you're putting it out there as a book, as a short story, as a piece of art, as a dance, it's still going to be a very vulnerable place with you. Yeah. You have to be in the place where you go back to that number one step, which is doing it for you. If you are going into telling your story worried about the money, the accolades from it, the the opinions of other people, the reviews, none of that is guaranteed. And correct. So you have to go into it. When is it a good time to tell your story? When you are ready to, when it's enough for you to tell it, period, end of story. When it's enough for you to tell it is when is a good time to do it.
But what about keeping boundaries? How do you, because if you're in that mindset, like I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but when you're in that mindset, you might think you're defending your story, where really you're actually breaking your own boundaries. What would be a way to help people with that? Because like for me, I want to yell at Gavin every day, but I don't, because it's just not healthy. And whether he knows what GQ is or not, he's just the GK of the world.
I think it'd be more frustrating for you than me if you yelled at me every day, because I would just kind of sit there and go, okay, what else? I you know me, I'm not very responsive to things like that.
I'd bait you, but that doesn't matter.
This sounds like a challenge, and I accept.
As we're talking about boundaries, so there's a lot of people. So I know a couple business people who put things out there who literally every detail about their life. And there's part of me that says, wow, some of that is really unprofessional. But there's another part of me that knows that her audience knows that that's the way that she is. And that she is an oversharer typically. I think the only problem comes in as far as, business and our audience is concerned, is when we completely shift our storytelling style and the audience is left going, who is this person? And that was something that I had to deal with a little bit, because I used to be much more private and kind of closed off to things. And then when I started coming out and saying, I actually have thoughts and opinions and all of this that I want to share and stories in my life. And I had to deal with the fact that I was not this person that everybody thought I was, because everything just sort of shifted. But all of that ties into authenticity. And it's really, really important for you to know who you are, but for your audience to know who you are as well. And so if you shift that up, there needs to be some sort of not explanation in there as in you have to explain yourself, but something in there to give the audience a clue of, hey, up until this point, I was not very open about my life, and I'm going to start to do that with you because I want you to see in and know who I am.
I love that. I like Jacob's comment right here. Currently reading Building a Story Brand. People will remember a story much easier than a name. Yeah. And honestly, I think that's 100% true. Like, people connect with stories way better because they feel like they're a part of it. They can picture themselves there. Jessica, how do you put yourself out there in a way that doesn't feel like you're breaking your own boundaries? Because you are a very open person. You are on. Is that my Philip?
It might be.
I think
is he
in
a towel?
He's not in a towel.
Is he in a tie?
He's got his favorite shirt on today. Would you like to see his? You want to show them your shirt?
Yeah. Let's see this shirt.
I'm
Is it a pun?
Philip tells his story through this shirt.
Is it a pun shirt?
I did not mean to offend you. That was just and then it's sideways. I can't see it.
Bonus.
That's pretty good. I like that.
Do you want to know? Phil, I missed you, my friend.
He said he misses you.
Phil's just like, okay, too. Brandon. Buddy,
it's been a while since I saw that onesie.
What? Do you want me to go
it's been
put
a
one
while
on?
Since I saw that onesie.
Yeah.
His voice is so warm.
I know. Like, Phil, will you just call me and talk me to sleep at night?
Can you call him and talk him to sleep at night? They love your voice.
I'm probably sleeping.
He's like,
goodbye.
Morning, Bob.
So when you're telling your story, how are you able to, let's just use Jessica Dukas, and you're telling your story and you're getting out there, okay? Because you are very open. We follow you on TikTok. You go live. You're like, hey, guess what? I'm going to slap some people today. Let's get on here. It's wonderful. But how do you make sure, how do you keep yourself in the right mindset when sharing your story, but B, not letting others cross those boundaries with you, like antagonize you, ask questions to do it? How do you keep Jessica from not having a break on there while telling her story?
You kind of have to understand that comes with the territory. It goes into the conversation again about, sorry, goes into that conversation again about, vulnerability. When you put your stuff out there, you're going to have people that are going to say things. They're going to feel some kind of way. Mandy was talking about if I was to tell my life story, some people in my family, like my sister, would get upset. You run the risk of that, and you kind of have to ask yourself, do I need to wait on this, or what is most important to you? Again, going back to, it has to be okay with you, and you have to be in the right spot. If Mandy was to tell some of her story, she would have to be okay that her sister's probably going to be upset. But what's most important to her? Is it more important to her that she gets the story out there? Or is it more important to her to keep that relationship smoothed over at the chance that she may never get to tell that story? You have to weigh the pros and cons of putting things out there. For me, it has been part of my life's journey to say, as Joe said so beautifully in the comments, F them then. It has been taken me 40 years to not give a shit what other people think. So I have had to, forcing myself to put my story out there when I'm uncomfortable with it has almost been like therapy for me in that arena, because people automatically come back and have things to say. So it's, when I hear things back, I have to just remember that I know the inner workings of my story, that it's more important for me to put it out there for the people that could possibly benefit. It's more important for me to put it out there for my own healing than it is for the other people who don't care.
Right. I think that's a very good point, because truthfully, when you're setting those boundaries and telling your story, if somebody offends you, hurts you, doesn't understand you, they're just showing you who they really are. They're showing you what they are, and you can step away for yourself. And you need to know that they're giving you a gift of letting you be able to break free. They're giving you the gift of showing you who they are. Like Brett Gordon. Brett is a piece of work, but at the end of the day, he is an amazing human being, and I'm glad he's on our team and he's hiding in the background while I'm making him laugh. But go ahead, Gavin. I didn't have a comment. I was just being loud.
You're good. Well, I think one thing to keep in mind, though, is that it really is a gift. And we have to be self-aware enough of that to know when we're oversharing.
Right.
Sometimes you have to know when it is and isn't okay to share a certain amount. Like if you're writing a book, then share away. That is your book. That is your invitation to people to come and see this deeper side of you. But if you're on like a first date, you don't want to tell somebody, you know, all the horrible things that happened in your childhood and then how they like affected you as an adult. Save that for like a second or a third date, depending on what things are going. There's a limit on how much you should share at a certain time.
Well,
you have to be self-aware enough to and that's where boundary setting comes in. 'Cause you have to set those boundaries for yourselves and for others as well, or else you'll put people in these awkward positions, and you'll put yourselves in positions to be hurt, essentially.
Well, and knowing your audience, and I say that very loosely. I'm not just speaking to a business person who might be watching who has an audience, but knowing your audience as far as who it is that you're talking to, whether it's your husband, your kids, your mother, your best friend, whatever. You know, not every person plays the same role in your life.
Yeah.
And so I know that when I'm talking about really woo-woo things, you know, whether I'm talking about something metaphysical or holistic healing or something like that, my husband might not be the person that is in to hear about all of that. And so I have friends that are into that, and those are the people that I go to. So it goes back to what I was saying about the one friend of mine that I feel for me would be oversharing. I would not share the certain things that she does. However, her audience, that's how they are too. And so that's how she's able to get, quote unquote, get away with that, because they know that that's how she is. So it's, you know, you have to know who you're talking to. I think that's really important. And the boundaries of knowing that are super important, because you're going to end up disappointing yourself if you continue to tell stories to people who those stories are not intended for.
I think that this is a very relevant to parents and their children a lot of the time. I know a lot of parents who would just completely unload all of their issues onto their children, and because that, it really strained the relationship, because, you know, the child is supposed to learn, yes, and you want them to learn from these issues, but when they don't have these issues going on and aren't aware of them because it's not relevant to their life, and then you're coming at them with, oh my God, I have this, that, and the other, then they start to worry about you as a parent. They start to worry about your life rather than focusing on their own developments. And that becomes a lot of issues. Because then a lot of times, like in my case, I saw it as, well, shit, what do you have to teach me when yourself is a complete mess? And like...
It's a conversation that we've had often here. For anybody that new that's turning into the show, I have 6 children. According to Brandon, I have 107 today. But, you know, I've always wanted to sort of be more open with my children about certain things. That said, while we tend to be he's adding it up, while we tend to be more open as far as discussion is concerned, there are still things that it's like we may talk about certain things, but not at gross detail. And depending on the age of the child, there's things now that I talk to my son, who's going to be 20 next week. I talk to him about certain things now that he's that age that I might not have talked about with him when he was younger. But so again, that's tying into the knowing your audience. Is so important. But I think I sort of would want to wrap all this up by saying that at the end of the day, you needing to tell your story should trump everything else. If you are okay with the consequences, good and bad, of telling that story, you need to tell it. You're in this particular life, I don't care what you believe in, one time. And so if you want to tell your story, do it. If you need to, Tokyo Bento was talking about somebody warning their family, that their memoir was coming out, that there might be things in there. If you need to warn people, warn them. But at the end of the day, it is about you and your own healing and your own journey. And if it can help other people, God, that is a bonus. That is a bonus. And one of the beautiful parts about storytelling, I say all the time that I feel like I'm from a different time where we were sitting around the fire, you know, telling stories, because I'm so passionate about that. Nobody wants to be talked to like this. Nobody wants to be said, this is how you live your life. But if we tell a story from the authentic perspective of saying, this is what's happened to me, this is what I chose to do. If if you go through this, I can absolutely be an ear for you and understand that their journey and their story is going to be completely different than yours. What amazing things we could do to change this world if we went from that perspective of of sharing stories, learning through stories, and taking it for what it's worth. And it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. We're at the end of this segment. Jessica, thank you so much for being on today. Everybody, do not forget that Friday we got a very special episode coming up on the Breakthrough Show. We're going to be going live for the first time for the show. It's going to be Brandon and I on there. I'm going to be doing some singing. Brandon's going to do something entertaining. I don't know, onesies or something like that. CBD, smoking pot. He's going to have a great time.
I am excited because I just pulled, because we initially recorded the show. And then we pulled things out because we changed formats a little bit. And I pulled out the 2 songs that you did, Gavin. And I was just as blown away pulling the songs out as I was when you did them initially. And I was joking around with the guys behind the scenes that my daughter, she heard the music and said, who is that singing? And I said, that's Gavin. And she's like, Gavin from Java Delight, Gavin? And I said, yeah. And she said, I didn't know he could sing. I thought he was a comedian.
Yeah, I'm a jack of all trades. Yeah. I also enjoy mowing the lawn as well. So I got it all.
Apparently my talents are only CBD and at least I have Joe getting my back on this one. CBD and Care Bear onesies. Like that's all I bring to the table anymore. At least I know my role. I'm going to stick to my story and tell it wisely.
Yes. You're just very caring and charismatic. Yeah.
Yep. I love it.
Right.
All right.
Coming up next, we have an amazing actor who has been busting his ass for decades now. He's really been working hard. He's been in a plethora of movies and TV shows, some of which I have actually seen, which is very cool for me, and then some of which I've never heard of, which means I'm very excited to go watch them now and look for him. So without further ado, the one, the only, Tyler Foley. Hi, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm good. You flatter me, sir. You flatter me more than I could have ever possibly earned. So thank you so much. Brandon,
absolutely.
What's up?
I today has just been like, I complimented you earlier and Gavin sat there. He's like, I didn't know he had an IMDb. Now he reads it the way I do. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm going to give Tyler all these great compliments. I'm just going to sit here and enjoy the show. I think I'm going to go put a onesie on just to see what happens, you know?
Oh yeah, I know, man. You got a Care Bear stare that way.
I do. I have a green Care Bear onesie, or I could put the unicorn one on and I'll just give you that stare. Like, the whole time, you know?
Yeah, well, actually, so I do not know what a IMDb is, in all honesty, so I need you to educate me on that. But I do know how difficult it is for somebody who is trying to do acting of any kind, whether it is commercial work, stage work, or movies and TV shows. You know, it's a very, very aggressive business to get into, especially right now with the internet, because you don't have to go to auditions as much anymore. A lot of it is self-tape kind of thing. So you have people from all over sending in things from the comfort of their own home.
Well, you know what, though? That's actually made it, I think, easier for people to get into the business, but it's also made it a lot easier for the people who know what they're doing to stand out and actually show up and book the gig. I've had more opportunity in the last 8 months than I have in the last years, just because geography is no longer limiting me. And just having the experience that I have, I've got the setup where I can actually show up and impress a casting director. So I'm actually loving this right now. The competition is definitely larger, but I think that's a good thing. And I think the opportunities, and even too in the era that we're at, because there's so many more people who are doing what you guys are doing, right? Like I've got a show and you guys are putting out content on the daily practically. You know what I mean? Like you got that right. That's making for a new era of media consumption that I'm not limited now to 3 or 4 networks and a couple of production studios, because I have the ability to go and do some really cool, really good looking independent as well. So it's just it's a great time for entertainment.
Yeah, well, not only with like you said, the opportunities, but then technology in general. Like I remember, I was in a band for a while, and we got to a point where we were shooting our own music videos that were very high quality, just because we had access to things like that. I don't know if you saw, there was a snowball fight that was shot with an iPhone that looked absolutely phenomenal. It looked like a Michael Bay film almost, and that it was a commercial for the new iPhone, but it was just shot with that little camera on this $10,000 phone that they were selling.
Well, and then, the technology of it too, like my cell phone has 3 lenses to it, and you can pick between them, and you got low lighting stuff now. And some of the power of the processors on these phones, you can run super slow-mo, right? You can get that snowball coming through. I love that you mentioned Michael Bay, because it's totally right. Practical effects, real snowballs.
Yeah.
Folks. We're not doing digital. We're doing real snowballs, but we're going to slow it down to 300 frames a second. It's just awesome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So during all this, with everything that's going on, you have all these tools accessible to you. What have you actually been doing other than just auditioning for, like, I know you've been auditioning a lot more, as you said, because these new opportunities. What have you been doing on top of that? What projects do you have going on specifically to you?
Well, right now, and we had Jessica at the top of the hour talking about storytelling. I actually just published a best-selling book called The Power to Speak Naked, designed around helping people stand up and tell their story. And I loved that Jessica was talking about authenticity. One of the big takeaways that I have from the book is that authenticity is synonymous with self-awareness. And I think that ties into what she was talking about when you're telling your story about oversharing. I think if you know who you are, subsequently you'll know who your audience is, and then oversharing doesn't become a problem. So that's the big project right now, is pushing the book. I self-published it a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, actually, 2 years ago now. And it got picked up by a traditional publisher, Morgan. And so now it's going to be in bookstores in September. And that's got me excited. So I'm doing stuff like this and promoting the book and build. And like I said, you guys are content creators now. I'm a content creator now. Now I've got the studio, and now we're doing all these training videos and support for masterminds. And I got private coaching clients, and I'm showing people how to use performance to tell their story better, to get up and speak on stage. It's just fun. I'm having fun. What it boils down to.
I love it, man. I love it.
That's the most important part, making sure you're having a good time, having fun, and doing what you want. So I have a question. Is that you on the cover?
Wouldn't it be awesome if it was? Yeah.
Like here, I'm going to share it again for everybody, because I saw this and I'm like, I got to ask this. This is my first question I have to ask. Is that your back end? Because it's a great cover.
Right.
Well, I was like, damn, look at those back muscles.
Ready? So it's not implausible. It's not. Right, like that could be me.
Okay, yeah, you got the V shape going. I dig it. Yeah,
it's not me.
Yeah,
but I got a good double.
There you go. Yeah. Is that part of your routine then a lot? Is working out regularly to stay in some sort of shape for roles that you go for?
I would love to claim that that's the case, but no. I work out about as much as the best couch potatoes out there. I'm training for the Couch Potato Olympics myself.
Ooh, nice.
Which event?
Definitely the remote lift, and I'm working on it because I'm ambidextrous, so I can compete both right-handed and left-handed in changing the channel.
Wow.
It's helpful that we've lost our cable package. So now I'm working more on scrolling through Netflix than I am actually channel surfing. But you got to pick your disciplines as they come.
Yeah, I had a natural knack for the lazy boy. That was my deal right there. Just the lazy boy lounge. I really enjoyed that one for a while. I tried the cushion lay for a bit, but it just was not working with the way that my spine is structured and my neck and whatnot. I just couldn't get the technique down.
Well, and the nice thing is when you're a professional athlete, the best part is giving back and coaching. And so now I'm actually helping my 5-year-old daughter with couch trampoline. So, it goes back and forth. And I don't know, man. I think she has a shot.
That's awesome. That's great.
Have you been joining in?
Of course. You can't, right? Those who can do, those who can't teach. I show by example. I mean, it's how I train, right? Whether you're a private coaching client for public speaking or whether you're a 5-year-old learning how to jump on the couch for the first time, I'm going to show you the proper technique by demonstrating before. Absolutely.
So you got to make sure you do your stamina too, and try to get her into doing some to the refrigerator sprints.
Oh yeah. Well. So I mean, it's we don't have the full track, right? Because from couch to mini fridge is only a 2-yard dash, but she's doing it quick.
Good. She's getting that time down. I love it.
Sub 0.2 now. Sub 0.2. I'm pretty impressed with him.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Sub 0.2. Oh my God. I love him. Tyler, you're funny. So Tyler, let's talk about your book really quick, because stories is the way we're going today. What is The Power to Speak Naked? Like, what made you write this book? How did you come about it? And how often do you get naked?
So I get naked anytime a charity asks. We'll get to that in a second. But the book, yeah, I know. Kevin's like, okay, now I really need to know. I need to know what IMDB is, and I need to know what charities I need to start supporting.
Yeah.
So, but the book came about as kind of a deep dive into my brain. Like, everybody kept asking, how do you do the thing that you do, right? And it started out with performance. So I've been in film and television since I was 6 years old. I started on stage, more specifically, and then moved into film and television when I was about 12. Really deep dive into it. Like, I was a professional actor from 17 on. I don't even think I'd graduated high school. The ink was still wet on my diploma. I was in Vancouver, working full time as an actor, which is a blessing into itself. And then I got kind of jaded with the industry around 25 because I'd been in for 20 years, and like most people with a 20-year career, you retire. That's what happens. So I got to retire from my first career at 25, and I took all my mad movie star money and happy Hollywood bucks and went to school and got an engineering discipline and started a business, and the business failed horribly. And I had this other training, and then I became a safety professional, which is an incredibly rewarding career, but it's also incredibly depressing. And so I need a lot of these safety meetings, and I'd work for very large companies and come in, when you're a smaller subcontractor, you get all these, you're working for all these large prime contractors and general contractors, and you run these safety meetings, and the presidents and CEOs would occasionally stop by. And I remember doing this one on this massive project. And one of the heads of one of the big companies that was there said, hey, Tyler, that was really good. Because what I'd done a safety meeting where I had told everybody that I was really disappointed in how they were working. And I shared a story, because it's the power of story, about how the safest job I ever had was actually jumping out of a 6-story window. And I said, I did a 60-foot high fall, and it was safer than you guys are working right now. And when I said it, it landed and had impact. And the guy was like, hey, that was really good. Would you mind coming and doing that at our annual general meeting? Would you be a keynote presenter? And I said, sure, absolutely. I had no idea what a keynote was. So I learned it. You always say yes and then figure it out.
Yes.
So, right. And I was like, yeah, no, sure, I'll do that. And then I'm on Google going, keynote? What the is a keynote. And then I was like, all I have to do is go up and talk for 45 minutes? Psh, that's easy. Let's do this thing. And so I went, and he was like, so how much would it cost? And I was like, you're a big oil and gas dude. I make this much a month. Let's ask for that. So I was like, it'll cost about this. And he didn't even blink. He was like, okay, I'll have my, admin work out the paperwork. I was like, yeah. And then when I figured out that I could make the same amount of money in a 45-minute keynote as I did in a month as a safety professional, working 60 hours a week, I was like, well, obviously I'm going to stick with the safety gig because this keynote stuff has no future. And yeah, right.
There's no lucrative opportunity there.
No lucrative opportunity here. And it spun from there. And then a lot of people would ask, well, how do you do that? And I had to think, well, what kind of led to all of these things? I've got the power of story, I have the power of performance. And so I would give all this advice, and I just frankly got tired of saying the same thing over and over and over again. So it just made it a lot easier to put it all into a couple hundred and some odd pages and just give it to people and be like, here, have this. And then my self-published book came about, and it got into the hands of an incredible man, David over at Morgan James. And he phoned me and he was like, listen, this is really good. Have you considered about, would you ever publish it through a traditional publisher? Do you want to get it into bookstores? And I said, okay, why not? Again, say yes, and I'll figure it out afterwards. And so that was kind of how it came out. It was a big download of my brain into telling people 35 years of insider secrets. This is how you confidently take a stage and don't worry about it, including getting naked. Haven't asked me about it.
Yeah. So tell me about these charities that you get naked for really quick.
Okay. So I've done it exactly one time. And it was when the book had first come out, self-published. And I was running, because as part of support of the book, I've got training seminars. So we've got little 45-minute introductory things that are fairly cheap to come to. And then we do a 2.5-day kind of workshop, and then a big 5-day seminar where people really do a deep dive into training, and the numbers get smaller and the access to me and the private training gets larger as we go through it. But in these large forums, it's usually free or a very small amount of money. I try to usually donate proceeds to whatever the local food bank is, wherever I happen to be speaking. And this one time I was down speaking, and this guy was heckling me from the audience. He was like, "Hey, naked boy, take off your clothes. Come on, give us some pictures." And I'm like, dude, not the forum, right? He's like, "You're just chicken. Your stuff doesn't work." Right? And I was like, whatever. So he's heckling, and I've been in show business since I was 6. I can handle a heckler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's riding me, and I was like, you know what, sir? Just put your money where your mouth is. And I'm just running off the fly. So what we do, anytime I go to a venue, my team will book the venue for the date that we want. But then we always have a backup date because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like Dallas shut down for a week because of an ice storm. You know what I mean? This year, like you never know what's going to happen. So we always have an insurance date. And in this case, it was still open. It was booked exactly a week out. And so I said to him, I'm like, look, I'm willing to do this, but right now we can't, right? I'm sure there's permits and insurance and all kinds of things that we need to do. If I'm going to take my clothes off, I'm not going to get sued. I don't want to end up in jail because you are an idiot.
Yeah, there's some kid in the audience that you don't see, and now you got to sign a registration and all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
and now all of a sudden I can't take my daughter to school because I'm on a registry. Like I can't. Right? So I needed to protect myself. But I was like, listen, I will, if you are willing to, if everybody here pays 4 times what they paid for the ticket tonight to come back next week, we'll collect it at the door. I will donate all of that money to your local food bank. So, you're putting in 5 times what you would have normally.
Yeah.
You guys come back. I will get the insurance and everything that we need. I will find out. I will check with the venue. If we have to change it, we will. Like, I will do my due diligence, but I'm going to need time for the logistics. And Tyler doesn't take his clothes off for free. That's something I learned a long time ago in film and television. Right? There's a pay bump that comes with that. So I will do it because I have no problem doing it. I am a shameless nudist, if you ask my wife. Like, she has to go around and shut blinds in my house because I'm like, it's my house.
Oh, I do the same thing, man. I live alone right now. And even when I had someone living here for a while, all the time, if I got out of the shower, clothes didn't go back on unless I had to go outside.
No, clothes are a courtesy at best. So I told him, I'm like, everybody pays. Everybody. Again, I had my staff out front at the table. I'm like, you guys walk past. Everybody pays for it. We'll set it up, on I think it was Stripe or something like that. We just set up the event, and boom, boom, boom. They all paid. And I said, I'll come back next week and I will give this exact same talk totally naked, but only if everybody pays so that the money can go to charity. And sure enough, the whole audience was into it. They're like, why not? I want to see this. Let's see if he actually does it. Right. It's a little bit of, right. And so we booked the venue. I came back, and it's expensive to get that insurance. Oh man. Like the hoops you have to jump through and the permit that you have to get. And like the theater it can only have a certain number of entrances, and you have to have bouncers and security, and you have to be IDing. And like, it would have been, honestly, if I do it again, I'm doing it at a strip club because they already have all that stuff in.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, and they'll be like, why are we doing it here? I'm like, so that it doesn't cost as much to do it, because it was. Well,
you also got to make sure you check what state you're doing it in, because like I know here in Ohio, they like women are allowed to be topless. They can have pasties on, but they can't be topless. So you'd still have to get permits and stuff, but it would definitely be a lot easier, I'd assume.
Well, yeah. So the bottom line is, do it in Vegas every year, and we'll make it a big, big charity. But yeah, no, it was resounding success. I turned up the heat in the theater so that it wasn't too terribly cold. Made it more uncomfortable than what it was normally.
You knew my next question.
Oh yeah. No, but here's the thing. Like, when I take the stage, like, I don't know, you guys might be catching a sense of how I show up, right? And I'm jazzed. Whenever I'm on, like, I'm jazzed. This is me feeling under the weather because I got my vaccine yesterday. This is me in a low state.
I love it, brother. I love it.
You can just imagine when I take the stage, I'm pumped.
Yeah.
But what's funny is all that energy gets into it. And then when I get off stage, like, immediately I get chilled because all the blood like stops flowing. And then I get the shakes, and it's the opposite. When everybody describes fright to, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the thing that happens after I get off stage, because I get sweaty and cold and shivers and hard to breathe and stuff like that. Just because
I get it. Your body's trying to regulate everything again.
Yeah.
What did you do to did you do any preparation for your body before? Like, were you like shaving or waxing anything? Did you like go to the gym beforehand, give yourself a little bit of a pump up anywhere kind of thing? Like,
oh yeah, no, I'm way too vain to just take my clothes off to an audience. Yeah, there's no pump that way, Brandon. No pump that way. Just the iron, right?
Just, there you go.
Swedish tools. No Swedish tools. Just good old.
He was pumping iron, and we're not talking about blood.
That's right. No, what I did was I just honestly, and my wife hates me for it, because I'm 5'8" and 140 pounds if I've eaten 10 Big Macs the day before. So it doesn't take a lot for me to just kind of lean. So all I did was I just did a boxing thing, right? It was a sauna in the morning. I cut a little bit of, didn't drink a lot of water, hydrated literally just before, did a couple of sit-ups, couple of push-ups, just to kind of give me some definition. But there was definitely some personal grooming going out. Shout out to the Lawnmower 3.0. They're not a sponsor of your show, but they should be.
We've done so much product promotion on this, and that actually Manscaped was one of the ones we brought up.
Wicked. Manscaped should be doing your show for forever, because that's the way to be, man. And I want it right, because what's the advantage of shaving, right? I'm an average dude all around. everywhere. But how do you got to make yourself look good. So Russell Peters says it perfect, right? You give yourself the right fade just to make it look a little bigger. And I'm vain. I'm vain enough that I was, and no flash photography. That was the other thing too. I was like, I make sure that my security team, I'm like, there are no cell phones. Cell phones are left at the table. I don't need this getting out. I do stupid stuff enough on my own that people can dig. I don't need more. I don't need to feed this fire.
Yeah. So what do you think that would have hindered or helped you?
Oh, it definitely would have helped, man. But it's a little bit of mystique too, right? So now I can raise charity. I can raise money for charity just by saying, hey, I'm going to go up, I'm going to do my gig, and I'm going to do it in the Emperor's clothes. And anybody who wants to pay to see it, they can.
How fast do you get naked? Like, I've been being public, and my ex-fiance hates that if somebody catches my full sleeve tattoo and I'm wearing clothes, I am not afraid in public to just rip my shirt off and like just be like, oh, let me show you. And I take it off and I show them. Are you willing to get naked on the drop of a hat? Because I have a game we could play. And you don't have to get naked on air, but we could play a game right now.
Oh, yeah. No, I again, no shame, not getting naked on your show. But I only for charity. I told you. If it costs money. It comes out, right? But yeah, have you worked on the one hand removal?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you're like, oh, let me show you. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You just do this thing, right? I saw that on a YouTube video once, and I'm like, damn, I'm gonna learn that one. And yeah, now it's a thing. I can be undressed sub 5 seconds.
Damn. I know how to put clothes on very quickly from being like a young teenager at my house and my girlfriend's parents' houses and hearing footsteps come down the hallway. I'm like, shit, just as fast as I could. Like, I'd end up wearing more clothes than I came in the house with. You know, I'd come in with like a t-shirt and then they'd come in the room and all of a sudden I'm wearing 3 of her bras and like a sweater.
Yeah. How did you get a 3-piece suit? Didn't you come in board shorts? Yes.
Yeah. Very true. So you retired early, as you said, and you were able to do this. When you started writing your book, you're speaking, The Power to Speak Naked, the Amazon link I'll share again in a second, everybody. But like, when you're doing this, what was the inspiration that made you go with the naked theme? Because that really does catch attentions. Yeah. And you and I have a lot of the same personality. I'm sitting back here quietly like, wow, I don't have to have all the energy today. I love this. And I'm very grateful you're here, Tyler, because like it's fun to see that. But what made you do that when you're 25, you said?
Yeah, 25 when I retired the first time. Nice. Semi-retired too, because I'm still doing film and television, right? Like I took a step back. At the time, I thought it was retiring, but it's a step back. But as far as the book title, what inspired it was actually like, what's the first thing you think of when you think of advice for public speaking? I'll just ask you, what's the first advice you think of?
Picture everybody in their underwear.
Have confidence.
Exactly. Well, no, what Brandon said, yes, Gavin, you want to have confidence, but everybody's like, oh, I got stage fright. So how do you do it? You picture everybody in their underwear or naked is usually what I hear, right? Like, oh, just picture your audience naked. And I'm like, that is the worst advice ever. As somebody who has been on stage since I was 6 years old, can you imagine, first of all, right? You have to coach little Tyler Foley back in 1986, taking the stage for the first time. Do you as an adult look at a 6-year-old child and go, oh, it's easy. Just picture the audience naked. Don't do that. That's not advice. That's and horribly inappropriate, right?
How old were you?
6 when I first took.
You didn't even have a good idea of what naked people looked like. Hopefully.
Oh, no, I knew because I was a naked people. I run around the sprinkler with no clothes on. That was it. When I was 3 years old, my aunt loves this story. So my parents, right, they grew up, they were hippies in the 70s. I'm a 70s child. And one of the first times I slept over at my aunt's, all of the rest of my family's on the East Coast. I'm, right in the Rocky Mountains. And I slept over at my aunt's and I didn't have pajamas. And she's like, oh, well, we don't have pajamas for you. I was like, it's okay, Auntie. I sleep naked. Because I did. I've been naked my whole life and just comfortable with it. So nudity was not a problem, but you don't give a 6-year-old the advice of picturing naked. And anyway, I think it's the worst advice. So when we were brainstorming titles for the book, I had asked, well, what's the advice that you got? And Gavin, you did it perfect, right? You were like, oh, well, take the confidence. And Brandon, you nailed it right on. You were like, yeah, no, picture your audience in your underwear. And so my buddy was like, yeah, I know, you picture your audience naked. And I went off on this tirade. I'm like, that is the worst, what I just did. The worst advice ever. Can you imagine? And then I finished it by going, I would rather give my audience the power to speak naked and be up on stage and present totally nude in the total raw truth without having to have gimmicks or anything. Like, they should have the power to speak naked. And everybody's like, that's the title. And I'm like, yeah, it is. And then the more I thought about it, the more it hit on multiple levels. So it's tongue in cheek at the bad advice, but at the same time, like, Jessica brought it up really well, right? To expose yourself, to be able, and at what point are you oversharing? I love that she brought that up, because I don't think you're oversharing by saying the thing that you're afraid to say. That's usually the advice. When we start working with my private clients, it's usually the first thing that I ask them, what's the thing you're afraid to say? And I'll have them write down the thing that they think they're afraid to say. And then I ask, okay, what were you afraid to write down? And then they go, oh, snap. Right. And then that is usually the thing that the world needs to hear, that thing that you're afraid to say. Yeah. But Jessica had a really good point in that, how you bring that message to light is delicate. And I want people to be able to have the power and the confidence and the technique. Like, I don't want you to be like, oh, well, now I'm going to tell my story. No, I need you to tell your story effectively so that we're telling it with a purpose. Les Brown says it really well. He says, never tell a story without a point, never make a point without a story. And it's because story is universal, and we communicate through story, and have been, depending on who you are, for 4,000 to 10,000 years, right? Yeah. And we need to embrace and I think that's how we identify with each other. It's how I can gain sympathy with you. And so the title, at the very root of it, is to get people the strength to expose themselves and be vulnerable, and let us see into the fleshy bit of your life. Like, show me the insides, because I'm not going to attack you for that. I'm going to support you for that. That's usually how we get people on board. It's how I can see your point of view, is if you can tell me your story, but I don't understand it until you tell me why. And then on the middle between that, so that's the deep level of it, and then the surface level, and in between, the power to speak naked means that I can go up on stage. I can show up right now, right? I don't got a PowerPoint. For the people who are listening on audio, they don't even have a visual of it. But I'm pretty sure this has been an engaging show so far. Like, I would like to think that I'm wildly entertaining. At least a little bit, yeah. Yeah, I like to bring something to the table, and everybody can. Everybody can. They just need to learn how to do it. And so the mid-level of the title is so that I can do it without PowerPoint. I can do it without a PA system. I can just take a stage. I can engage an audience, and that can be an audience of one. That could be you and me. It could be you and a spouse. It could be a partner, you and a child, you and a boss, you in the boardroom. Like, it doesn't matter the size of the crowd. You can engage them and keep them on board with your messaging. And so those are the 3 levels of the title, and I just like it. And it gave me a chance to put a naked dude on the front of a cover.
Absolutely. I love it, man. Well, I really do. And I think that one of the biggest things that really helps people kind of break through that seal, that like kind of imaginary wall to get in their comfort zone, to be able to talk the way that you do, the way Brandon and I do to people, is an ego death. Because we all have this sort of mentality where, and it's like the most common, biggest lie that we tell ourselves is that we know that we're not perfect, but we want to project to everybody that we are. We want to show everybody that we are, that we have no problems a lot of the time, and that we have it all figured out. And that really isn't the case. And once you have that ego death that tells you, hey, this isn't reality, people can relate to your flaws. It's okay to be imperfect. It's okay to say, honestly, I need to work on this. Then you can start becoming comfortable with yourself and then comfortable with others too. Because you've been naturally very comfortable in your own skin, both metaphorically and literally. What are some of the times where you've had to have ego deaths to progress in life, and where you've like had like actual, you realized, damn, this is a moment of self-realization and growth that I'm witnessing right now?
Well, I have them daily. It's the greatest thing about being
Awesome.
married to my wife is that she she brings me back down to earth, right? Like,
yeah.
My favorite thing is when she tilts her head just slightly to the side and goes, and you're like, yeah, that's right. Okay, I'm sorry, honey. I'll go take the trash out now. But I know I've right because
yeah. That little passive aggressive, like, and you're like, all right,
okay, I'll do it. But yeah. I've had so many learning lessons. Like even when I was in safety, relearning that it's all about your audience and not about you. When I first started in safety, I would lead safety meetings by having it as a monologue, and I would just talk to people and be like, now you got to do this and you got to do this, and they were completely disengaged and tuned out, and it wasn't serving them. And when I realized that it wasn't about me, it wasn't about my knowledge, it was about them and their knowledge. And if they didn't have the knowledge, it was up to me to communicate that knowledge. Then I started to include them in the discussion, whoever them happened to be, wherever I was leading a meeting. And I do that now, even with the training. Like I do this thing. I do this one thing really well. And but other people can do it as well, if not better than I can. All they need is a little bit of guidance and push. And so it's remembering, and again, quoting Les Brown, actually, no, Bernie. Yeah, I think Bernie was who said it to me. Less about me, more about thee. And as soon as it was Bernie Dorman for sure that said that to me. And as soon as I got that lesson and really understood it, that's when, like you said, you can have that ego death. Because, and make no mistake, like I still have the ego. I wouldn't be able to do what I do if I didn't have it.
I'm sure you need a little bit of ego to do any kind of entertainment.
Yeah. But at the same time, I know when it is serving me and when it's hindering me. If I'm not doing a thing because I'm too good for it, that's hindering me. Or if I'm insistent on a course because I want to look good and I've stopped caring about what the audience needs, that's not serving me. But if I'm going to be like, look, I'm going to pull out the lawnmower and give my bucks to Manscaped, and I'm going to make my body look good before I go out on stage, well, that's healthy ego, right? And that's also being nice to my audience, because nobody needs to see a 5'8" hobbit walk out on stage and deliver a 45-minute training session on public speaking. Right?
Come out before shaving, they're like, wasn't he supposed to be naked? Why the hell is he wearing that?
Why is he wearing that sweater?
Yeah.
And what's with this fleece pants? Like, that is just give it back to the sheep, man.
I didn't know he was a Viking. That's weird.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And here's the worst part. Like, really, I have a Nordic and Irish blood in me, so I'm just short and fiery and want to fight and drink all the time.
I love it, man. I'm Irish and Mexican, so I'm in the similar category.
I have no idea. So with storytelling, actually, I have a side question. Because of the cover of your book being naked, was Dennis Rodman your inspiration?
Absolutely not. No.
No, that was perfect. Great enough answer. I love it. I remember his book back in the day, and you're like my age. So he had that book where he was the cover and he's holding the basketball. And then I'm like, wow. Like,
No, it wasn't Dennis Rodman. It was definitely Madonna that inspired this cover. No, I can't back up either one of those statements.
There's no cones though.
Well, no, that's because you're only looking at the front. Turn the book around and I'm kidding.
That was awesome. So with storytelling, what would be techniques you would use for people who are trying to break out of their comfort zone to be able to start telling their stories? What would be some techniques you'd use?
Well, so first of all, understand that you are the authority. And this is why the power of story is so important. Because if you try to just talk about, if I was just to come on and present about public speaking, well, there are 1,000, if not 10,000 or 1,000,000 different people who can train you to public speak. Yeah. And everybody knows the statistics, right? So I could give you stats and left, right, and center. 77% of people are afraid of public speaking, and it has a 10% impedance on your ability to earn and a 15% impedance on your ability to get a promotion at work, and nobody cares. Like, it doesn't matter. And that stuff doesn't make me authority. That just makes me somebody who has studied statistics.
Yeah.
But if you start talking about your story, if I tell you about growing up in film, or when my father passed away, or the first time I got stage fright, or any of the things that we've talked about already on this show, nobody knows my story better than me. Yeah. And so it's real easy for me to riff like this and just talk, because I can go, oh yeah, there was this time when I did it. And that's why Les Brown's point about never tell a story without a point, but never make a point without a story is so critical, because you need to know what the point of your story is, why you're telling it. But if you can catalog your life, and that's real easy to do. And so, quick tip for your audience: you want to catalog your life? Take your life, divide it by 5, and figure out what the key event that happened in each one of those epochs is. And and your life won't evenly divide into 5. So think back to grade 2 and 3 math, when you were first learning division and you had the remainder. So take that remainder and stick it at the beginning of your life, because you probably don't remember what happened when you were 1 or 2 years old, unless you're a freak like me and can remember everything. And then you just, so like for me, I'm 42. So I'm going to take the remainder and stick it onto the beginning. 40 divided by 5 is 8. So I've got first epoch of 0 to 10 years old. And the most significant thing that happened in my life at that point was my father passing away when I was 6. And then from 11 to 18, I have 2 really significant events that happened. One of them was the first time I openly grieved my father's passing and cried in public, receiving an award during a ceremony in grade 6. And then I had a medical event when I was 17 that paralyzed the left side of my body, and trying to overcome that and get to the point where now you wouldn't know until I said it.
No, what happened?
Yeah, well, they don't know. It was either a mini stroke or some kind of palsy. New Year's Day, 1997, I woke up. And I don't drink. So despite the Irish and the Nordic influences, I don't drink. Or definitely didn't drink up until about 25, 26. And now I'm a social light drinker. Like, I will have a beer at a barbecue occasionally, but it's few and far between. But at the time, I didn't drink. And but I definitely enjoyed the company of the ladies. And so New Year's Eve, I had hooked up with a friend's sister. And we had an amorous time, and I'd fallen asleep and passed out, and me and her were both very, very tiny wee folk, and I'd slept weird, and I woke up, and the left side of my body just wasn't working, and I couldn't really quite piece it together, because it's New Year's Day, you're waking up, it's probably 11 in the morning when I woke up, and I'm kind of like, and my mom was yelling. So I woke up to my mom screaming at me because my friend's parents were phoning, trying to track down their daughter, and found out where she was. And mom was like, I was 17 at the time, and she was 14 at the time. And I was in a lot of trouble. I was in a lot of trouble that day. So I had to take her back home, and I couldn't get up the stairs. And I went to brush my teeth. And the toothpaste is like, I couldn't keep the toothpaste in my mouth. And my mom's looking at me. She's going, how much did you drink last night? And I'm like, I didn't drink a thing. And she's like, no, seriously, Tyler, how much? Like, where are you hungover? What's the deal? I'm like, no, Mom, I didn't drink. And my friend's sister was like, no, he didn't drink. That's why we were partying and whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so I thank God I had a witness. And my mom kind of looked at me and finally we figured it out. And she's like, no, listen, I will drive her home. We're taking you to the hospital. We got to get it. And by the time all the scans were done, they were inconclusive, but the left side of my body just didn't work. And it took a long stretch of time there to not only get my body, but my mind right. Because at the time I was senior in high school, had a lead in a show, in a musical that I then had to withdraw from 2 months before curtain went up. It sucked. It just sucked. And I felt like my life was over because at that time, I was 11 years into an acting career. I was going to finish high school. I was going to go out. At the time, I was like, New York or Hollywood, here I come. Like, I'm going to be either Broadway or Hollywood. Like, let me know. I'm going to make it. Big star, big name in lights.
Yeah.
And then to wake up and not have your face working as an actor or your body. Like, I couldn't dance. Couldn't articulate. It just, everything sucked. Luckily,
was it nervous or was it muscular?
Nerve.
Nerve. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And yeah, I had to do a whole bunch of physio, chiropractic, acupuncture, laser acupuncture, holistics, and then typical pharma, and with cocktail of just stuff, trying to get neurons firing again, trying to get muscles working again, retrain things too. Like I to this day, if I get tired, I'll still smile. Like I'm under the weather when I start talking out of this side of my face, because this side I have to really be conscious about, or I'll get a tick in my eye as the nerves start to like deaden. I'm like, oh, okay. And that's when I know if it gets really bad, I know, okay, I got to get to a chiropractor, got to get things adjusted, drink a little bit more water.
Yeah. Did you ever try microdosing with psilocybin mushrooms? Those have been proven to not only refire neurons and synapses, but then create new ones as well and new pathways in the brain.
Yeah, no, when Joe Rogan and I were hanging out, he told me the same thing, but I'm kidding. I didn't hang out with Joe.
Oh my God. We got one F-word on our show and made me use me. I was like, no way.
No way.
I literally was like saying the same thing. I'm like, wait, time out. We need to meet with you and Joe Rogan. Don't worry, Gavin and I will come to you. We will bring what we need.
I feel like this was an hour-long setup because he's so casually just like throwing out facts about himself throughout the whole time. I feel like those were just little decoys of bait for this one like setup the entire time.
It was the long play and it paid off.
Yeah, it was.
Well, you got to remember that when this happened, it was 1997. You're welcome, CK Ford.
Her book just came out too. Her book just came out. I'll tell you backstage about that. She's an author and she wrote a book all about poems, and it's one of Amazon's top seller for women right now. Like just released last week, already one of the top sellers, and she's a regular to watch the show. So I just throw her out there because you gotta compliment people when they get there.
Yeah, so you posted my book, post hers as well, and then I'll shout it out to my fans because CK, I got to support the authors. I love it. But yeah, no, when I had the stroke or whatever it was, I will reference it as a stroke. It was 97, so there was definitely no microdosing was not a thing that was going to be talked about. I mean, you got to that's a science that even like right now is still people are going. I have thought about it, just because. I still have issues. So when I was 14 playing basketball, because that's what, when you're at that point, I was like 5'2", so balling was in my future for sure.
Oh yeah. Doing those layups, slam dunks. Oh yeah.
But I was fast. I was quick, and so I was usually playing a guard position. And I was playing against this dude who I know we grew up together. But he went to a different school, and at that point he was hit his growth spurt. He was like 5'8" or 5'10", and he was probably already playing football at that point, and I did an inside lane deke on him, like faked him out, and he totally bought it too. And then straight crossover into the left, dribbled down the lane, and he wrestled and played football. And his dad was the coach, so he did what was instinctual to him, and he reached out like this and just clotheslined me.
Oh.
But he finished the clothesline, so he took it like that and then brought it down to the floor, because that's what you do in wrestling. And I swear it was muscle memory for the dude.
Yeah.
But it slammed my back, and to this day I still have issues right between my shoulder blade. And it's one of the things that one of my practitioners said. She said, you might have these pinched nerves, and if you look at some microdosing, you might be able to get some neurons firing again. And we may be able, because I've had everything trying to manipulate a massage, chiropractor, laser therapies, and nothing seems to work. Yeah. And it really can flare up. So
I think it's at least worth a shot.
And you got to make
sure. Well, that's what Joe said. So
yeah.
Yes. Joe texted you. He's like, yo, you got to at least give it a try. We talk about that a lot on here. And I think that, the science behind it. Are you in California or New York right now?
Me? Neither. Yeah. I'm north of the border, my friend.
Oh, congrats. Much better than where we're.
I can't go anywhere, but my healthcare is free.
Oh, there you go.
Don't worry. We'll probably be locked down again soon too. But the thing is,
don't say that.
I'm not even going to get into that on this air. But with the microdosing, the University of California, Berkeley is doing some studies on it, and they just raised $25 million to do one of the largest human studies with it. And the results have been astronomical for dealing with pain management. Someone we've had on the show is one of the best chiropractors in the country, and he and I talked about this. It's about using psilocybin for this and how microdosing helps open up those brain pathogens, but then it actually helps the blood and the rest of your body be able to really focus on when he's cracking you. It loosens things that are helping to readjust you back to where you're supposed to. And so if you ever want to know more, let me know, and I'd love to talk to you about it, because
and I mean, Tim Ferriss sends out studies all the time too in his, the five bullet Friday stuff and just off. And I read a lot of the studies on it. And I mean, never mind the study. So screw the studies that are 2 years old. How about the studies that are 2,000 years old? This is not new medicine by any stretch of the imagination. It's just reintroduced into Western culture currently. But I mean, you go back 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years, and you look at Aztec and Mayans, you look at even Middle Eastern, they've known the science behind it, or at least have understood the cause and effect with it. And so, no, it's definitely not something I'm opposed to. In fact, I'm quite open to. I love reading the studies. I'm fascinated. Again, when it comes to the power story, I always want to know why. I one of the greatest gifts that I got was having a child later in life, because my daughter's only 5 years old, and I'm getting to re-experience the world through her eyes. And the curiosity of a 5-year-old is fascinating, and I love to be able to mimic that in my own life right now and go, why? And especially right now, because everyone has an opinion on everything. And if it's not your opinion, you find out about it very rapidly in your social media comments.
Yeah.
So
yes,
I like to know, I want to know what is your thought on a thing. And the nice thing about doing it with the curiosity of a 5-year-old, 5-year-old doesn't tell you you're wrong, right? 5-year-old goes, that's interesting. And then they go and eat some Play-Doh. And so minus the eating the Play-Doh part, I really enjoy just finding out information so that, and knowing that there is, I think the problem right now, and again, why I think the power of story is so helpful, is a lot of people have confused opinion with fact, and have forgotten the fact that more than one point of view can be right. And I think just even back to my safety time, when I would do an incident investigation, and you'd have 10, 12, 14 witnesses to a very traumatic, what you would think impactful event, no 14 statements would be the same.
Yeah.
What happened? All you'd ask is what happened, and you'd let them tell you, and you would document it.
Yeah.
I know what happened. We know the end result. But the 14 stories are completely different. They may share common elements, but the point of view is always, always different. And I think we've forgotten that as a society. And that's why I like pushing the power of story. Because if I tell you my story, if I tell you how I saw things from my point of view, you can start to understand my logic. And you don't have to agree with my point, but at that point, it becomes harder to attack my point. You don't have to agree with me. You know, Lord knows, I'm a trained monkey. I'm an actor. So don't agree with everything that I say. But if I tell you a story in a compelling way, you might understand my point of view, and that's all I'm asking.
Absolutely. Well, everybody wants the world to be very black and white. You know, it's one or the other, right or wrong. And the reality of it is it's not that at all. You know, the road to hell is often built on good intentions, and there are very, very few pure evil people in the world. I like to believe that everybody thinks they're doing the right thing, but we just haven't learned how to have this, like you said, like a healthy disagreement about it. We don't know how to say, oh, that's interesting, and then go on to eating our Play-Doh.
Yes. Which is good, by the way. High in salt. Good sodium intake.
Yeah, you can do homemade Play-Doh. It's completely edible. I wouldn't recommend it, but
I have made homemade slime with my niece from Starburst. Yep. Oh my God, it was heaven. I'm like, oh yeah, you can eat this. You know?
Yeah.
So
homemade slime. I've made slime, moon sand, magic mud, Play-Doh, all of those things. I became a master of gooey play stuff during lockdown. It was great.
Love that.
And became an Olympic athlete for the Couch Olympics with your daughter. Look at that. See,
full right package, now. Man. Full package.
Right now. Didn't stop. Oh. Yes. Ready?
Don't stop.
I got quick draw. Quick draw remote.
I love how he did it. He's like, boom, channel change.
Channel change. Just like that.
Oh, that's funny. So, Tyler, the way we end every show is we usually just give everybody sorry, I had like 3 messages pop up. All of a sudden, what I wanted to ask you got covered. So we end every show with a positive affirmation, and we give everybody a reason of why to get through their day and keep positive. We know every day is not going to be your best day, but at least do your best to make it a positive one. Gavin will lead us. I'll go second, and then you will go last, and you just got to inspire everybody to get through the world today. Like, that's your job. Can you do that?
I think I can handle that.
I think you can too. All right, Gavin, lead us off, my friend.
Yeah, today was a fantastic episode. Some of the things that I want to take from today, and these are things that they've all kind of been brought up in one way or another throughout the show over the episodes, but that doesn't make them any less true or any less relevant, because they're things that we have to remind ourselves all the time. And one of those things is that as much as we want to be perfect, as much as we want people to see us as, you know, the best at whatever it is we're passionate at, we have to acknowledge that sometimes we aren't. You know, there's always room for improvement. There's always things that we have to work on. There's always a next level. Like, think about it this way. No matter how good you are at something, if not today, which probably today, but eventually there will be somebody who is better than you at that thing. So continue to work on whatever it is. You know, Tyler here, he did acting basically his whole life, and it didn't start right off the bat for him. Like, it did in an early sense, but he still had to work up to get to these higher levels. Us right now doing the show, we don't have 100,000 viewers every single time we go live. You know, we don't have all these things, but we're working up to it every day. We're getting a little bit further and a little bit further in it, and it'll get to a point where people will see our success. People will see your success, and oftentimes we always see other people's success and think, oh my God, I can never get to that. Oh my God, how'd you get to that? And the thing is being consistent, but we don't see the struggles. You guys don't see what
Mhm.
Brandon and I do behind the scenes. We don't know what Tyler had to do behind the scenes to get the roles that he wanted to make the connections that he had to. That's what it's really
He got
about.
naked.
It's about being. He did get naked. He did that behind and on the scenes, but it's about being consistent and being willing to put in that work, because you truly can get whatever you want. It's just not going to be easy.
Mm.
Keep that in mind. It's not going to be easy.
Mhm.
You're going to fail, but just keep working.
I love it. Very well said, Gavin. And sorry for interrupting. I can't stop thinking of Tyler naked with all this. So
Well, he did.
guys,
He did give a spin for us.
I did. He was like, he turned around. He's like, look at my back. I could do this. I loved it.
Yeah.
Like, he jumped right in. Honestly, we ever go to Canada, I would love to meet up with him and have a drink, even though he doesn't drink. Weed's legal there, so maybe I'll connect with him through that. But at the end of the day, I wanted to make sure that this episode really hit a lot of areas for a lot of people. The audience was even enjoying the fact that they're learning from this show. They're being relatable content. And the truth is, he was naked eating Play-Doh. Sorry, that one just caught me. The truth is, guys, we have a lot of things that we're trying to make sure we bring a positive and uplifting show every morning to give you guys the best you. It has nothing to do with Gavin and I. It's for everybody else to see that we're still learning too. And being 100% honest, I woke up this morning, I was not in the right headspace. I was not in the right mindset to be able to come on here and have this show. And I was ready to have somebody else step in for me, like Brett or Jessica today. But I was meant to hear this just like everybody else. And sometimes in life, when you're telling your story, you're going to have people along the way that stumble you. People along the way who want to mess up your stories, and people who are not going to care about you. The truth is, you have to love you. You have to care for you, and you have to see the people who are building that foundation with you like Gavin and I are doing. So guys, make today your best day, and remember to get naked on stage.
And with that, Brandon, I would, first of all, ask that your audience pause this episode for a moment, because the work that Brandon and Gavin do have to do to put onto the show and the stuff that's behind the scenes is extensive, and it's a lot, and they're doing it for your benefit. So if you could do something for their benefit, hit pause on the show right now, and whatever platform you're listening to this on, I want you to thumbs up, like it, 5-star review, give a comment, just to help them. Because the more people know about what they're doing and what's going on in the show, the more good they can do. So hit pause right now. Hit pause. Go rate the show. Come back, and I will give you a little bit of advice. Okay, ready? Go. Now you're back. Thank you for taking the time to do that. You better have done it, or you're in trouble. And because I will come, I will find you. You don't want a naked dude on your doorstep swinging a bat. That's not going to happen, right? But I would say that your voice matters. Your story matters, particularly in this day and age. That if you know that you could help at least one other person in the world by sharing an experience that you've gone through, it is your duty to do that. And don't let fear stand in your way. Fear is just imagining up in your head. And the best advice that I can give you is that you are not afraid of public speaking. You've been speaking in public your entire life. What you're afraid of is judgment. But don't let the fear of judgment stop you from sharing your story in a powerful and authentic way. Because for every person who may be against what you're having to say, there is, I promise you, someone in the world who needs to hear what you're putting out. So don't let this person stop you from helping the person who needs your help. Your voice matters. Your story matters. Find the power in your story and go change the world.
God, I love that. Tyler, you are welcome back every day you want to come back, man. Like, I even subscribed to your YouTube network already, followed you on Instagram. Guys, his website right here, one last time. Tyler, you are an inspiration and a one-of-a-kind person. So please know we are grateful you were here, and keep being you. Never, ever change.
I definitely want him back. I want to hear some more of his stories because I know he's got some. I got some stories to tell him as well. So we will definitely keep in touch, man, and get you back on the show.
Anytime, boys.
Yeah,
I love it. Tyler, thank you again. Go ahead, Gavin.
Yeah. So once again, thank you to everybody who's been on. Thank you to Jessica Dugas. Thank you to Tyler. Don't forget, on Friday we are doing the live show of the Breakthrough Show. Make sure to check that out. It's going to be on Roku TV, Apple TV, all that stuff. Very big. Very exciting. Thank you to everybody who commented, liked, shared. Thank you, Tyler, specifically for giving us that little shout out. That I appreciate that a lot. And we will see you all next time, bright and early.